Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's session. We'll give everyone a few minutes to join as we near 2 o'clock, and hopefully everyone can take a seat, pour a cup of tea, and enjoy today's session with the Workiro team and Nick from TaxCalc as well. So I can already see some familiar names. Hi, everyone. If you're able to share in the chat where you're joining from today, that would be wonderful. I'd love to get a sense of where everyone's joining from for today's call. I know that Nick's based near Norwich. Nick, is that right? Yes.
Yeah, just south of Norfolk for me. So I think there's a couple of people maybe not far from me.
Might be some local crowd. And Dave, based out in Cambridge. I'm on the south coast. Guys, I wonder if we've got coverage over the whole country today. It'd be great to see where everyone's joining in from. Let's have a little look. Hi, everyone. Hi, Tom. Hi, Rebecca from Bridport. And hi, everyone. Oh, Lewis. Oh, I love Lewis. Gorgeous part of the world. Thanks for joining us today, Fiona. Bromley, Norwich. Oh, there you go, Nick. You're making friends already. Hi, Ray. Oh, sunny Southend. I hope it is sunny today because it's not actually as sunny on the south coast here as I'd like it to be today. But hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session. I think everyone's just joining now. And keep the chat going, guys. It's great to have that interaction for us as we go through today's call. We'll do a bit of housekeeping in a moment, but just so you know, the chat's live for everyone to see, and then the Q&A is going to be questions that you're wanting to raise for us to answer. So yeah, keep conversation going in the chat. I'll keep an eye on it as we go through, but great to see such a spread of joiners from today's call, and yeah, some familiar faces. So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. So to give a bit of background, I'm Dani. I'm one of the key account managers here at TaxCalc, and I'm thrilled to see so many of you on today's session as we explore a partnership and an integration that we believe is a genuine milestone for practice productivity. At TaxCalc, our mission is to provide you with the broadest possible choice and the most reliable, comprehensive and sophisticated tools to run your practice. Today, we're taking that one step further by showcasing a powerful new integration with a platform that is at the forefront of document management, Workiro. To help us dive into the how and the why of this collaboration, I'm joined by two fantastic experts. First, I'm delighted to welcome David Owen, the president of Workiro. David, if I can hand over to you to give a quick intro for yourself and share some insight into your role at Workiro, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dani, and thank you very much, everyone, for joining the call. As displayed on the slide, David Owen, I'm the president here at Workiro. I have been working with accountants for the last 15 years. All started back when we were working with smaller accountancy firms with Virtual Cabinet. You might have heard of Virtual Cabinet as a best-of-breed document management solution. As time went on, with that client feedback, we've been working with more firms of different sizes, continuously taking that feedback and building out Virtual Cabinet. So myself and the team have now got near 1,000 accountancy firms across the globe, all different sizes. And today, really proud to talk about the latest integration that we have with TaxCalc and the evolution of Virtual Cabinet, which is the 2.0 version in the cloud.
Absolutely, thanks, Dave. Yeah, and as Dave has just said, you guys are the visionary minds behind Virtual Cabinet, which a lot of you will already know, and they're channeling all of that experience into building this next-gen browser-based document management solution. So Dave's going to run us through a bit of a demo of the Workiro product in a moment. Workiro really is sort of redefining the way that firms collaborate and manage client info in this cloud-focused framework and infrastructure, which is hugely important for us, and as I'm sure it is for many of you on this call today as well. And I'm also joined by our very own resident webinar attendee, Nick, who many of you will recognise. Nick is head of pre-sales and training here at TaxCalc. But Nick, if I hand it over to you just to do a bit of a quick intro as to your role here, what you're doing day to day, and what you're looking to do on the call today as well.
Yeah, thanks, Dani. So yeah, it's nice to be back on another webinar with you as well for a change, Dani. It's been a while since you've been on one of these webinars. So yeah, I look after the pre-sales and training side at TaxCalc. So kind of both sides of the pre and post sale aspects of it, making sure that the people who are interested in the relevant TaxCalc products see what they need to see within it to make sure that they make the right decision. But then because I also look after that post sale point, make sure that everything is displayed correctly. People know that they're buying the right software for the right reasons, and making sure that it provides everything that they want it to do. But then making sure that when they do take any of our products, that they're implementing them and using them correctly as well. So making sure that the daily webinar series we run with TaxCalc and Workiro is delivered correctly, and yeah, just effectively making sure that the TaxCalc user base is getting the most out of the products that they've decided to take us with. So yeah, I'll go into a bit more when we talk about the integration with TaxCalc and Workiro going forwards, but making sure that my experience of working practice previously does help with both of those roles as well.
Yeah, thanks, Nick, absolutely. And you and I speak with firms every single day, don't we? And so we understand this operational strain. I think it's probably the best way to explain it, sort of specifically on small to medium-sized practices. So if you're a firm that's currently using network folders or SharePoint to manage documents, and you're looking for a more sophisticated solution, you've come to the right place on today's webinar, and hopefully we can cover that off in good detail with you. So in the next sort of 45 minutes or so, what we're going to do is demonstrate how the enhanced embedded integration between TaxCalc and Workiro works, how it strengthens the completeness and visibility of the client record, and specifically why that relationship materially improves workflow, compliance defensibility, and peak season control for accountancy firms too. So before I hand over, as I said, I would do a bit of housekeeping. So yeah, please do, and I can see a couple of you adding comments into the chat, which is great. Hi Shabir, how are you doing? Please do keep that chat going, chat to other participants in that conversation too. We always like to see what users' feedback is during the session as well. I'll keep one eye on it as we're going through. With the Q&A, that's where you ask questions. I'll also try and make sure that I get those questions to Dave and Nick and get those answered for you. And then be sure to hang around until the end of the webinar too, where we've got a special offer that we've managed to secure for today's session from the kind folks at Workiro. So essentially what we're going to cover in today's call, guys, is the importance of having clarity across the entire end-to-end process, painting the picture of what that looks like before and after the integration that we've built out. And to tell us a little bit more about that from the front line, I'm going to hand over to you, Nick, to give some more background.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Dani. Yeah, so as I mentioned just briefly earlier, I used to work in practice myself, and that was quite a mid-tier firm. I'd say at the time it was probably 50 staff. I think looking around 75 staff. It recently got acquired by AAB actually, and I was brought up in an accounting practice that had an integrated document management system, and I think that with an integrated document management system, it made me really truly value the benefit of collaboration between staff members and clients as well. So having a one source of truth made a huge difference to me as an end user, being able to see and access all my clients' documents, all my emails, all in one consistent place, and know it's going to be consistent across client files. But also the big thing for me was that if I had a staff member that was on holiday or off sick, I knew that I could pick up that client's file and it just look as close to me doing the job as it would do for anyone else, whether that be with automated file names or with consistent filing structure and be able to find documents in a consistent way. It made it much easier for me able to pick up jobs that other people were able to, other people were say halfway through completing. And it's that middle icon there in terms of the clarity across the client record, which was probably the biggest thing for me as an end user. And having that as a starting point in accounting practice really made it hit home to me the efficiency of using a document management system over not having one was one of the difference makers in the firm. You know, everyone uses, I'm sure everyone on the call today is a TaxCalc user primarily, uses us for tax and accounts, but how people use document storage will differ wildly across firms. And from consulting with, I think me and Dani did a tot up a few weeks ago. I've now consulted with way over 1,000 accounting practices now. There really is a stark difference between the firms who do store their documentation in a consistent way across all their client bases, in the way that they're able to deal with their clients. So, it's very easy to figure out when you're in there, even without even seeing if these are document management system or not, based on how they work as a firm. And implementing them is not particularly difficult. I'm sure Dave will go into that in time. It's basically a structure. But yeah, the biggest difference for me, I would say, is long term, the consistency across the client record, the biggest difference I found was the email capture. It was the fact that you could go into a client record and see any of the emails which have been stored across the client from different staff members across the firm, and have that all in one saved location rather than just stored in someone's inbox that you don't have access to. And I think that's something that Dave's going to highlight in a key way this afternoon. So, Dave, is there anything in particular that you want to pick up from there, just while I launch a little poll into the chat? Because I think that a big thing from us today is just having an understanding with who is currently using a document management system and who isn't. So if I just put a little poll into the chat here, just while Dave, if you pick up from any of those points I've referenced there, if anything you see from a Workiro perspective.
Yeah, sure. I think probably just even going a step further with what you've said there, because you're absolutely right. I think a firm that doesn't have a document management system in place, from my perspective, they think that they've got their client files under control, but they don't. And it's not their fault. It's just that the vehicles that they've had to work with are not particularly conducive with the type of work that accountants are doing now. And so I don't say this lightly. We see a huge amount of firms. They can be different sizes, from small, medium, and large. And when you look at how the client records actually manage on a day-to-day basis, interestingly, it's remarkably similar, right? In most cases, though, it's still fragmented. When we had the paper file, it was that everything had to be printed out and put on the file without exception, so you at least knew exactly where to go to as that single source of truth. Of course, in today's digital world, that's not the efficient way of doing it for many reasons, and everyone has migrated to this kind of hybrid digital or fully digital world. But what I'm seeing is that you've got applications like TaxCalc that does what it does really well around compliance and tax, but it's everything around that, the unstructured work. So with accountants, it's not that it's just in one or two places anymore. With the explosion of SaaS apps out there and the niche applications out there, every day when I'm talking to accountancy practices, they're saying it's like this tech burnout almost of like, what should I be using? And they're almost spending more time running the applications and the cognitive load to just make sure everything is in the right place for other people within their team is reaching a point where they're having to run the systems rather than the systems helping them run their practice.
Totally. Do you find, Dave, sometimes when you're speaking with firms who are embedding a fully fledged document management solution, that it's historically been a bit of an afterthought? Do you find that you see that, or are people generally quite proactive in the way that they're considering document management?
It's evolved over time. I think to begin with, I would say that document management wasn't necessarily commoditized like having a compliance tax application or a practice management system. It was like, that's the necessities I need in the practice. I've got to have Outlook, some decent software there, and I can just use my folders, right? And that will get me by. But now the market has certainly become more educated around document management. And so you get, in some cases, you get some firms that are really doing document management quite well. But you are quite right. There are other firms that are just trying to grow their practice and focus on their clients, and the client file has become an afterthought, and that's when it hurts.
Yeah, totally. And I guess as you're scaling up, no one's got bundles of time spare to look at these things. It can become a real priority, and you don't want to sort of cross that bridge too late, if you like. Did you find that, Nick, when you were working in practice, that had you been sort of redesigning your firm from scratch? I appreciate you weren't a partner at the time, but had you been able to redesign that firm from scratch and build it from the ground up, you'd have structured that differently?
So to be fair, the firm I worked at actually had their document management system inbuilt incredibly well. I think they'd had some top level consultancy to get that set up correctly, or the relevant IT partner internally had done it correctly. And to be totally clear, when I then went and consulted on it, I pretty much used that as a blueprint going forwards, and it wasn't far wrong. It was things like, I'm sure Dave will reference it, things like the ability to have version control and go back to different versions of the document if I had made a mistake when doing a set of working papers on a document, which, believe me, at the time I did make plenty of mistakes on documents when I worked in practice, and so I don't work in it anymore. But without it, it would have been a real problem. The firm I was in did have it set up correctly, but as Dave mentioned, there's plenty I've been into that haven't.
Yeah, and I guess with the nature of the the world that we're in now, with new technology coming through so rapidly, and with AI becoming such a sort of at the forefront of everyone's minds, how do you sort of find that feeds into what you guys are doing, Dave, over at Workiro?
Well, for us, our big mantra is context is king. So I think, referencing back to what we were saying earlier, the explosion of applications out there, you think a standard accounting practice would be running some sort of email application like Outlook, and then they've got like folder systems, they've got some paper, they've got tax compliance, practice management software. Then they might be having some internal chat in Teams. They might be using portals. They might be using an e-sign tool. They might even be thinking about how they do some task management outside of their existing compliance software. So they might have picked up an application like Monday or Trello, or just be using some tasks in Outlook. And I think, getting back to your question around AI, yes, it's absolutely the buzzword, and you can't pick up any news or turn on any social media or turn up to a vendor webinar without the buzzword of AI being mentioned. And I can totally understand the rush for accountants to try and drop down some ROI from that. But unless the AI understands the context of it all, you are going to end up in a situation where you're building the roof before you put down the foundations. And I think, if you look at some of the recent Kinsey citing of the Kinsey reports, even enterprise businesses that have huge amounts of resource and money to throw at this AI changing landscape, they're still really struggling to drop down ROI. And that is because as soon as you get to a world where you look at your process, you've got to understand your work. And a lot of your accountancy work is in the communication and the files and your IP. And if you can connect that correctly with your record of truth, which is your TaxCalc or your Engager, integrated to document management, then you've got context, then you've got trust, and then you can really start to unlock AI. So I would say that AI, it starts in an order of get the context and content right, get your technology stack right, and then get your intelligence right, because that can then run over your automation, and then you're really singing.
And sort of build it out in that fashion.
That would be my opinion of it, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Nick and I, as we've said before, we speak with a lot of firms who are looking at lots of different systems, and you go to events like Accountex, and some of these things can be quite overwhelming. So what would your sort of guidance and advice be there, Dave, in terms of understanding what's available, understanding what's going to suit your firm best, and then sort of building that up, as you've just said?
I think it's being realistic, trying to look at applications that are consolidating. So I think in a world where really what we're saying here is we want software to reduce the amount of admin we're doing so that we can unlock accountants to do high value work. And that's where the market is changing, right? Because in my opinion, we are moving to a world where there's plenty of automation, there's going to be intelligence running over that automation we just spoke about. So I think choosing your applications wisely so you can consolidate that and crucially integrate it all, so that when you're in a world where as the work becomes more commoditized, you are able to then work on higher value work, get closer to your client, offer better service, because that for an accountancy practice is where it all lies, is your brand, is your service, essentially. Everyone's got to do a tax return the same way from compliance reasons, but it's how quickly you respond, how efficiently you do it is going to be key. And I think when choosing your applications, you don't have to boil the ocean. Just think about 3 or 4 core applications that all integrate well together, and you're going to start to get some really good results.
Totally, yeah, and almost trust that infrastructure that you've built to do sort of the heavy lifting in terms of the operational stuff, so that you can focus on the client-facing work and the stuff that's the human connection that's, I think, becoming more and more important, which is great. So let's I don't know if the poll came up, Nick. I didn't see it, but I think
yeah, I got that. So yeah, so about a third of the answers had no document management system at all in terms of folder structure, and then around about the other 2/3 were either existing Workiro customers or existing virtual cabinet customers, David. So interesting to see that's the split. But yeah, that's what we're looking at so far from that poll.
Okay, cool. We'll keep the polls coming. Keep the chat going, guys. I can see some questions coming in, and Claire, will come to your question in just a moment. Dave, I don't know if you want to run things through with the Workiro demo now, and I'll keep an eye on questions as they come through and try and interject when appropriate.
Yeah, sure. So just whilst I'm sharing my screen, just to let everyone know that we're going to do sort of a bit of a beauty parade today, just to show the integration and show you a complete client file. But there's more to it, of course, which at any stage you can have a demo from any of us, or come and see us at Accountex if you're going in the next week or so. So hopefully, any luck.
While you're loading that up as well, Dave, Claire had not posted a question. She posted a nice comment saying that she'd moved to Virtual Cabinet 10 years ago and hadn't looked back, so she'd really recommend.
Oh, awesome.
And yeah, hopefully today's session you'll see a bit of a think behind the curtain on the Workiro system as well, Claire. So we'll keep an eye on questions as they're coming in. I've had one, Dave, but I'll let you get going on the demo.
Yeah, lovely feedback. Thank you very much for that. Just want to double check. Can you see Workiro? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate this is the first time for many that would have seen Workiro. Just to quickly explain what's going on here, I've got
just a quick one, Dave. Just before you get in, you might need to minimise our cameras and just hide the thing where it says it's sharing your screen at the bottom. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Gotcha. Nice. Thank you. Cheers, Nick. So what I've got here on my home screen is my connections. So the first part of the integration between TaxCalc and Workiro is that we're syncing the databases together. So if you've got existing records in TaxCalc, they're automatically synced in Workiro, ready for you, so you don't have to recreate anything to set up the file or think about your filing convention at all there. It's all ready to go straight away. You can drive the application directly from TaxCalc itself. So if you want to open the client that you're in TaxCalc, you can do that, which I'll show you in a minute. You can also go into Workiro and search for what you're looking for in the native application itself. So as alluded to right at the beginning, Workiro is a cloud-based application, not just in a browser, but also it's built from mobile phone up. So if you're a heavy TaxCalc user, you can drive it from the UI that you're used to. But if you're out and about, you're going to see a client and you just want to go on your mobile phone, we've got dedicated Apple and Android apps so that you can just literally go to the documents and files and communication straight away. So all you need to do to go and search for the file is you come in here and you start searching for what you're looking for and bring back the record. So I'm going to use a fictitious client today, which is saved across from TaxCalc called Oakfield Property Holdings. So if you just click on that, that brings you back the entire record. So the concept here with Workiro is that we've kind of moved from where Virtual Cabinet was a best of breed document management system that just focused on the files. With Workiro, we look at the context of everything. So it can be work that's happening before files, so just communication internally with your client. It can be work that's going on with the document or post the document. So think about it as the full context of all communication and files. So I've got a nice overview here of everything that's happening with this record, any active tasks and communication, which I'll come on to in a minute. But if we just hop over to the Documents tab, you can see here that I've got all the documents that have been saved against this record previously. So I've got a mixture of different documents here, so they can range from emails to PDFs, to Word documents, etc., etc. What we do within Workiro is something that Nick was alluding to here, which is we'd set up your centralized filing convention for you. So rather than having a folder, which is problematic by its very nature because of the centricity of it, and there's a number of other challenges, of course, because everyone saves things slightly differently and everyone's got a different logic, is we build a centralized filing convention that when people file documents away, whether that's manually or automatically in most cases, it is all getting done exactly the same way. And that investment up front is what gives you the payoff later on when you come to the searching and retrieval of documents. So imagine now these are your documents that have all been saved in the right place. You can see here within Workiro, I've got a classic structure for accountancy. So I've got my correspondence section for my accounts, so for my company secretarial, payroll, permanent, and so on as I scroll down the document list. Now you can start to do a lot of things within that. So as you work with the file, you can start to change it from the classification structure. Maybe you want to group it by the document type. So if you very quickly want to go down to your emails, you can do. If you want to change it to the document date, modify things that are created by you, you can start to manipulate the file to be able to go to what you want to very, very quickly. The beauty of the benefit of having the classification system like this is you can start to run across the whole file very, very quickly. So if you wanted, for example, to start looking for anything that was to do with HMRC, before I've even finished typing the word HMRC, it's now looked across all of those folders and brought you back all of those documents and files and communication relating to HMRC, even though that it was in different sections of the file. Obviously, if you're in a folder structure, you wouldn't be able to do that. You'd only be able to go down to one centric folder, go in, see if it's there, come back up the tree, and you know, working with the file there is very, very tricky. So getting documents into Workiro, really straightforward. You can literally just drag and drop it straight on the file as if it was like a folder structure, and you'd be able to add the naming convention. You can also browse to a number of applications here, so integrated to a lot of different places. If I wanted to go and grab something off my desktop, I can do that very, very quickly. You can see you can upload the file there. It's grabbed the naming convention of the document itself. It's going to file it away against Oakfield property. And then this is the key bit that we were just talking about. This is where Nick was speaking about that indexing or that central filing location that allows you to come in here. And if this was a letter of engagement in my permanent file, I would just select that and hit save. And you see that Workiro was making it mandatory that you had to put the right classification in against the document, so everyone's doing it the same way. Is that sort of where you saw some of the success, Nick, in what you were doing as you were setting up document management in practice?
Yeah, 100%. I think one little tip for me is that you don't have like a miscellaneous field, because as soon as you have a miscellaneous field, that just becomes an absolute dumping ground of anything and everything. So having clearly defined fields was one that just made it so much easier for everyone to file it. And I think there's no harm with having too many, right? Because you know, at least you can then find what you're looking for specifically. But as soon as you start having like a catch-all, it becomes impossible to find anything you need. That would be my recommendation from that, is not having an other or miscellaneous, because people can get quite lazy in that degree.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what we'll help you with. So this is not just you switch it on and hope that you do well and have to refer to a training PDF. As part of the process, what we do is we work with you. We would sit down, give you what is best practice for an accountancy firm that we've seen over the 25 years of working with accountants. We'd set it all up, integrate it with TaxCalc, so you're ready to go. But if you've got any particular quirks within your existing structure, we can map that or customize the filing convention. So your language is what is going to be set up here when you go to file documents away. So it feels very, very familiar. Working with the file is easy. So not just, filtering and slicing and dicing the file, but visually looking at the file very, very easily. So if I click on a document, you can see here that it brings you a preview, a thumbnail, if you like, of the image. So what we like to do is we like to try and make it so that where you were looking traditionally at the paper file, it was very visual. We bring that back because we know that's something that's kind of gets lost when you're working with documents digitally. So I've got the front page here of this incorporation letter, but if I wanted to flick through the file very, very quickly, you can do that. Of course, you can open it then in the viewer and start to work with the document under version control, as Nick was speaking about earlier. So that's the basic concept of the file, but then how does it start to get automated for you? And this is where we start to get the real time savers. So before we go over to TaxCalc and look at how we capture the documents from TaxCalc, let's go over to Outlook, because Nick spoke about that as one of the key pain areas within practice.
Just before we go to David, can we just nip back to Workiro, because Claire's asked a really nice question, actually saying, is it still possible to have a year section? So all document for 1 year's return are shown together. I'm assuming that you can search for 2025 at the top in the filter. It'll pull through all documents with 2025 in the name. But in terms of utilising the tags for year, just to clarify that for Claire as well, David, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So there's a number of ways you can do it. You're absolutely right, Nick. You can go on the filter. You can see here that there's date ranges as well. So sometimes I get in practice, you've got the power users that are doing a lot of the actual day-to-day work, and maybe a partner just wants to come in and review the last 6 months worth of work very, very quickly. So you can do date range searching, you can do that sort of stuff. But yes, you can also have a filtering by tag in here as well. So you can see, you can go to the year and start to filter on things like period, year, etc., etc. Great. So just going to hop over to Outlook here. So just a couple of key things. With Workiro, we have automatic email capture, and we know this is where accountants spend a huge amount of their time with the correspondence. So a couple of quick things to point out. You can see in the quick view of Outlook itself, you can see that there's some there's some blue like color codes here. So that's to tell you that this email has been filed in Workiro against the right record. If we go into the email itself, you can see very clearly it says this is in Workiro. And over on the right-hand side, you've got the Workiro add-in, which always appears in Outlook. And this is actually telling you exactly what's going on. So the first time you go to file an email, whether you've received it or you're going to send it, what it does is it picks up all of the information like the subject in there for you. You can see that's captured in the name there. And it shows you where it's filing it. So I've tagged this against Oakfield Property Holdings, but it knows the email address of James Thornton as well as being a relationship. So the client within Oakfield Property Holdings, and I've tagged it against the correspondence section in the year, which is 2025. So going back to your question earlier. So that now, as soon as that starts to capture the email, that'll flag for you. It doesn't matter. You don't have to think about, when is this conversation going to end? When is it the right time to capture that? Workiro is going to do all of that for you. Another nice thing it does with the flagging for you is that if there's other people in the practice, is it will retrospectively go round to everybody's email that's involved and also tick it off that it's in Workiro. And that solves a classic problem that I see with accountancy firms, in that when you're sort of filing to a folder from Outlook, you don't know when other people are involved, you don't know who's doing the filing, and it often ends up being deferred responsibility of filing, or even worse, everybody's filing. And then when you go to the folder, you don't know which one is the latest version. There's multiple copies all over the place. Workiro solves all of that very, very quickly as part of the process. You are in complete control though. So you can see that the conversation is being automatically captured here if you do want to stop it being captured, so let's just say we veer off the conversation of what's going on in these year-end accounts, and we're talking about how amazing it is that Ipswich are now getting promoted to the Premier League. Maybe you don't want to get that in the file. You just stop the filing, and then, of course, when you want to come back to it later, you can do. So probably wondering how you file an email away. It's pretty straightforward. If you go to file an email, you just do what you would do normally. I'll just put TaxCalc webinar in there. Just say add to Workiro, and you can see automatically it's picked up that filing convention. But crucially, Workiro is saying to the user, you must tell it where to put it into the right section of the file. And that's the nuance of the human intelligence, making sure that it, for the first time, we are putting it into the right place. So I'm just going to say this is going to be to do with some tax correspondence. And because it's tax correspondence, the practice wants to make sure that I'm putting the right year in, so it's easy to search on that later on. And that's literally all I'd need to do. And from that point on, you can see that Workiro is going to capture this email. It's going to be filed in the right place. I don't need to think about it, all under version control. So we'll
beautiful, that one, because that little tick box there that allows you to define whether it's going in or not, because there'll be plenty of emails that you'd be going back and forth where it might be, organising, I don't know, requesting their information again for the 15th time. We think, I'm not bothered that goes in there for whatever reason. You can choose whether it goes in or not, and that's the big difference I find between Workiro and a number of other systems out there where it's kind of an all or nothing scenario, and it gets incredibly messy, full of nonsense emails. So being able to really pick and choose which emails go in is huge.
Yeah, you don't want a noisy file at the end of the day. You want absolute clarity when you come to your file. And of course, Dani already alluded to it. With Workiro, there's a lot of AI capability already baked into it. If you want to turn that on, it's not on by default, but as you drag and drop documents onto Workiro, we can read the document and we can start to already fill out that filing convention, so that it's reading it, suggesting what it is, it's learning upon your preferences, and it's just going to get cleverer and cleverer and more intelligent as it goes through. So if I go over to TaxCalc itself and I click on a document, any documents that you create as forms within TaxCalc, the new integration is programmed in a way that you're able to just click send to document manager, and it will take care of the rest for you. So I've done this CT41G here. I want to send it to document manager. I'm obviously on the test version at the moment, so you wouldn't see this screen popping up here. It would just already be saving it to Workiro. But if I just go ahead and say, yes, I want to send this into the right place, and it makes sure that it's told you, so you're absolutely sure. You can see now that has sent this CD41G across into Workiro automatically. You're not in a situation where people are having to go save as, try and remember the same name each time in the same folder that everyone else is doing, so that you've got complete clarity and trust. Everything's going to be beautifully organized when you go there. It's giving you that it was validated, it was sent successfully. And an extra bonus here is that if you needed to go to the file very, very quickly now, you don't even need to go anywhere else. You can click on view saved files, and that will bring you back the Workiro record straight away. Sorry.
I wonder if we've got time for a quick question, Dave, because those partners we're going through. We had a question in the chat saying, from this commenter, saying that they're using Engager. Where would Workiro fit into that? And I guess, is it relevant if you've got Engager already?
I personally think it's absolutely relevant. It's fantastic when the acquisition of Engager happened with TaxCalc. There's just so much potential between what I would describe as the triology of, going back to your earlier question, Dani, of picking those core applications, very intentionally around good integration. Look, Engager historically before the acquisition had some light document management with folders, but it's really where the documents go into a folder, essentially where I describe as just to sit as the end result. Whereas you'll see here within Workiro, the Workiro file is designed to be very, very intelligent and help you and reduce the admin side of things. So it's all about the collaboration of work that's happening within Workiro. That's the real differentiator between just having some folders in Engager or your shared drive for that matter. Nick, did you want to add any further points to that?
Yeah, I think if you looked at one of the weaker points of Engager is that if you were to say store a working papers document in there, you wouldn't be able to kind of edit it and re-upload it. It's only really a storage location for a final document. If you look at that Word document you've got there for Meridian response to HMRC inquiry as an example, you're able to go and edit that document, aren't you, Dave, in terms of by clicking the three dots on the right hand side and
yes.
go and edit and take it out. So, whereas you're not fundamentally able to do that from within Engage, you'd have to kind of download it, edit it, and upload it again and delete the old one. So I would say that's fine for final documentation storage in a way, but this is a purpose-built, fully fledged document management function that works with that full version history control, sharing documents between staff members, being able to tag things up in a much more defined way for the firm. So yeah, I think that if you are comparing the two from a document management perspective, you're comparing fundamentally an egg to a Japanese omelette, right? So they are very different things. So yeah, I appreciate the question came in. It was probably a bit more straightforward than the answer we've given, but yeah, they are wildly different systems in terms of what their capabilities are.
I think that's a good point as well. And we do have a lot of users who, even pre-integration, were using TaxCalc, Workiro, and Engager for like a full end-to-end solution. So hopefully lots of happy users now that we've got the integration in place and you can move data across much more seamlessly. But yeah, I think that's sort of worth referencing, because for anyone who's maybe a little bit confused as to why you might need three, hopefully that gives some context as to sort of the sophisticated requirements that you can start to action with the Workiro system. Have we got time for one more, Dave, or are you mid-flow and I've stopped you?
No, far away.
Cool. So if you're already using a DM system, maybe that's SmartVault, maybe that's a folder structure, what's the process of moving across, and is that usually complicated? What does that look like?
Fortunately, because of our experience of working with Virtual Cabinet over the last 25 years, we have a dedicated migration team. We've pretty much seen every legacy document management system out there, or indeed if you are using folders as well, just to cover that off. So if you've got SharePoint or OneDrive or just the shared folders locally, indeed, we can migrate any of those documents from your document management system. So the investment that you've already put in, you can still leverage, because you would have started to move towards getting that digitalization going. What we'll do for you is we'll map the existing structure that you've got in your legacy document management, then look at the new structure, which will be optimized in Workiro, and we will actually map those from one to the other. So when you start with Workiro, if a migration is part of the requirement, then you're already getting going with a complete client file with the history in there. There's a bunch of other benefits, of course, because as the files go in from the legacy document management or folders, you will start to get instant return on investment, because you'll get the thumbnailing, the quick viewing, the tagging will already be set up. And we also have content searching in Workiro as well. So it'll retrospectively go over all of those documents and keep all of the content there, so that you can just go into the document, type a word, and you'll instantly be able to get the record back.
Amazing. So it's not lost forever, which is always the worry. And thanks. That hopefully means that answered your question around a migration. And I know that Nick, thank you for answering a couple of questions as they're coming through in the Q&A. But yes, this webinar is being recorded, so we can share it after. One other question that's come in which is where would internal documents and document templates be stored in Workiro? Would we be able to just show that very quickly, Dave?
Yeah, so you've got, you can see over there, I haven't got any like template area set up for this demo, but I can show you a really good template version of a part of a workflow, but it can easily be configured. You can see I've got accountancy projects and intros here, so we would just create you a templates area. But a good example of maybe showing some templated work is if imagine you've got this letter of engagement and you'd like to send this off as a template. So I can start this off as a new task and use my signature templates as an example of that sort of work. So if I go and add a new task here and then go and apply a template, so I can use my letter of engagement template here. And I can also sync the document that I've already selected, so it's ready to go. And I've got this template set up here, so everything is ready to go. It's got clear instructions of what's happening with the clients in there, so I don't have to think about that and type it every time in an email. I'll just go ahead and select who I need to. So in this case, James is my client, and maybe I want someone else in my team being aware of it. So as this goes out, I might want to make sure that my partners are aware of that. So I'm going to add those as well. I'm just going to go ahead and select the signer. In this particular case is James. And I'm just going to, in the comments, replace that with James and hit create. The beauty of this template is it's already got the filing convention in there. So I don't need to think about saving this document anywhere. It's from the file, all the communication, and the signed version will automatically come back and be synced. So if I just go ahead now and do that, what Workiro does very differently is we've got the concept of threads here. So for us, communication is the key thing that document management systems in the past had a gap, including Virtual Cabinet. We've learned from that with all of the feedback from our clients. And so that crucial element of capturing all of the communication internally and externally is all done automatically in Workiro. So you don't like having folders and other systems where it's all fragmented and you've just got this hive of activity. You've actually got the real source of truth and context, so it can be trusted and you can go back to it, which I'll show soon in a minute. So this is the chat. This is the attachment that you've sent off for a signature. Now, if we go and be the client in this particular case, so I've just opened up an email account here, which is James's email account. So you can see here, there's like a beautifully branded link that's been sent directly to your client. Sorry about that. Hold on. So basically, I'm not going to go through that now, but basically you've got the link there that takes you to the document. You can go and sign it, all that sort of stuff. So I'm just using it off the same machine. That was my mistake. And it thinks I'm in Workiro, but your client would get the link. They'd be able to view it and sign it, and all of it would come directly back in here against your record. And the beauty is once you've come back into this, and this is one that was signed previously, you'd be able to open that document, view it, see all the context behind it, etc., etc. And if I go down here, you can see this is a document that was signed off previously by James.
Nice.
Last thing here in the integration is if I go over to the client record in TaxCalc, you can see that the communication activity is recorded. So if you wanted to, what you could do is you could come across to the link there that says view the file from TaxCalc, and you can see that it's brought you back the client record. And you can see the overview here, and this brand new letter of engagement that we just sent off for signature automatically recorded in the active work. So as a team, you don't have to try and be on top of the record and have to go around asking what's going on, because a lot of this stuff would normally be going on an email, right, which you wouldn't have visibility to see. But in this particular case, you can see exactly what's going on. And if I click it, that was the context of the conversation that was going on earlier. So it really is nicely embedded across all the different areas from syncing databases, capturing the work automatically. So you've got a complete client file. And when you need to go and access the file, you can do that quickly from either Workiro or, as you've just seen, TaxCalc itself. And that's just the start, right? It's going to be a lot more to come.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say we probably could have covered 2 hours on just showing the Workiro demonstration, because there is so much to cover, and we chose a couple of bits that we thought would be most interesting for the users today. So it might be worth, Nick, if you could share the poll, last poll of today's session. I'm conscious we're running a little bit over, so sorry if anyone had meetings or tasks booked. But Nick has just shared the poll, which is whether you want someone from the Workiro team to reach out, run a bit more of a comprehensive webinar for you, and answer any questions that you might have. We've still got some questions that are in the chat as well, which I'm hoping that Carl, if you're around, you're able to answer for us. Nick, thank you for answering the questions that are going into the Q&A. And I think I saw a question in the chat, which was from Stacey, saying, when will this be available? The integration is now live. So you just need to be on the latest version of TaxCalc and reach out to the Workiro team, to your Workiro account manager, and they can help you set up the configure the system, basically, to set up the integration between the two. And I'm just a little bit conscious of time, and I'm quite keen for us to mention, if we can, Dave, the offer that we've got today for all of the attendees and registrants for today's session. If I can put you on the spot, hopefully that still stands and that offer's still valid.
Yes, so we were super excited about the integration coming out so close to Accountex. We've put an offer together on Accountex. So if you're attending that week, then please do and come see us at the TaxCalc or Workiro stand. There's some golden tickets that we're giving out, and anyone that collects one of those golden tickets will be able to get free migration of the documents that we spoke about earlier, where if you've got a legacy document management system or a Windows folder structure, so any digital documents you want to bring across, we are going to offer that for early birds that want to get involved. We're going to offer that consultancy that normally runs into the thousands of pounds, completely free of charge. And the consultancy and training of the setup, we're going to do that free of charge as well. And what we thought we'd do, considering it's so close, is anyone attending today's webinar can also get access to that offer.
What do they need to do? They just mention the golden ticket, and you'll know.
That's it.
You'll know. Okay, brilliant.
Nice and simple.
Perfect, thank you. And yeah, thank you for offering that for our TaxCalc users. I think that's one of the biggest things, isn't it, when you're moving from one system to another, the thought of the migration process. So to know that your team are going to handle that, that's exceptionally kind. So yeah, if anyone wants to take up an offer, it's certainly worth reaching out. And just to close out, guys, I'm so grateful for everyone joining today's session and taking time out of their busy schedules. I want to say thanks to Dave for running us through the demo, Nick sharing his thoughts as well. Like we said, for anyone that registered today, there will be a recording that goes out. As we mentioned as well, we're heading to Accountex next week. The Workiro team will be there too, so please do come over and see us, grab some TaxCalc socks, go and say hi to the Workiro guys. And we're doing another session, a little bit similar to this, but we're using a case study, someone who's using TaxCalc, Engage and Workiro, which is on the 9th of June, which isn't one to miss. So certainly worth registering for that and joining that session. And then, yeah, lastly, reach out to Workiro team if you have any questions around anything. We'll try and get questions answered in the chat before we drop off. It's certainly worth exploring. And if you've got any questions around the TaxCalc side of things, obviously reach out to Nick and I for that. But I just wanted to thank everyone for their time today. Thanks for joining us and for exploring a little bit more about the latest TaxCalc integration. And yeah, we hope to see you all soon. Thanks so much, guys.
Cheers, thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.